Half hour or so. Today with me, I have the beautiful Sonia, and she does Chakradance. She does a lot of stuff around health and nutrition and empowerment and being embodied, energy work. And I'm just so grateful to have her with me. I have been in one of her classes. We did the Reboot Your Root Chakra. Amazing, amazing. And I'm just so grateful to have you here with me today. Hi.
Yay. It's so good to see you. It's been so long.
Oh, I know, right?
I know. Busy. We're busy. So, yeah, but it's good. I'm glad we're here together.
Yes. Now, did I miss anything? Because I know you are multifaceted. You do a lot of amazing things in our community.
You know what? It's so funny that you say that, because today was kind of one of those days. I was kind of going through my list of all the things that I do, because I'm going to be going through a revamp. But you hit on everything. I mean, basically, I do mind, body, spirit. And so my background obviously is in fitness, but fitness has just become all encompassing. And Chakradance is my major one right now, just because I think we really need it on the planet. Yes. More energy work, more chakra work. But mainly, yes, I'm working with the chakras. That's my main gig, whether it be food or body movement or just connecting with spirit. That's basically what I'm doing now. So, and loving every minute of it.
So, because your background's in fitness, it's really interesting to me that comes into energy work.
Oh, and yeah.
I'd love for you to talk to me about the idea of embodiment, because I know with like Reboot Your Root Chakra, a lot of it is about getting like in your body safely, feeling just embodied, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, obviously, we have 7 chakras, but primarily I love to work with the root because everybody has issues in the root. I mean, obviously, safety, security, being grounded and being connected into the body. And most of us are running around in our heads all day long. Honestly, yeah, we're moving fast. And I've mainly worked with women for the last 25 years. So we all have kids, we have lives, we've got careers, we've got all this stuff. And what happens is we kind of get disconnected from the body. And sometimes we're getting disconnected because we also have some stuff, emotional traps, stuff in that root chakra that really needs to be moved. The 3 main chakras, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus, all have to do with the body. So they actually all work together. But once you start working the root, it does technically activate into the other chakras, obviously, right? So for me, I've always found that the root chakra is the foundation of beginning, because that's our physical being on the planet, right? And then as we move up into the heart, obviously the bridge to higher realms, that's how I just kind of look at the heart. Heart is all about compassion, understanding and forgiveness and love. And that's the bridge to the higher realms. And most people really just need to work on the 3 major ones down below to start to activate that, to open up their spirituality, to be quite frank. I mean, that you've been doing the work for years too. So, the more we start to do each of those chakras. And the thing is, some people will come to me and they'll say, well, Sonia, once I do the root, then am I good? And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. This is like an onion. There are layers. There are layers to our being on the planet. So we have to really kind of go through those, those issues that we've had over the years that will show themselves. What I notice a lot, even for my own healing, like as soon as I peel a layer, the universe goes, okay, let's see if she's got it this time. And then it presents a situation where I have to deal with that energy of it, right?
100%. Yes.
It's always our realities reflected back to us. So everything that's internalized, anything that's going on with inside of us is actually showing up in our world. It's showing us in so many different ways, in relationships, in work and business and children. It's always showing us that issue, our main issue. And we also have our main issue that we're coming here on the planet with too. So,
well, I know for myself, like the root chakra, I love going in there because safety has been a big theme for me over the past about 7 years, safety. And that was an issue earlier in life, but it resurfaced. But the other one I live with is the throat chakra. Yeah. And I find it super funny, like just the irony of spirit that one of my biggest chakra blocks was my throat chakra. And it took me a lot of years to learn how to speak up for myself, to stand in my sovereignty, to be open. And now I have a podcast where I literally talk to the world.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And it's so beautiful to me the way things work synchronously, because I would have never thought in my 20s I could barely speak up for myself at all. And now here I am in my 40s and I'm like just babbling to everyone.
Well, you're not babbling.
No, I'll reframe that. Talking openly and I will reframe that because I owe that to myself to be open and vulnerable and verbalize so many things and get in that air element and just let it resonate out into the world.
Oh, absolutely. I know. Okay. Hey, throat is for me, right? I have thyroid issues. So right there, you're already in the throat chakra. And that's something I've worked on very much so. And it's actually being really activated. Me, I'm a natural communicator. I wasn't in my earlier years either. Like I was very like, you want me to speak in front of people, but I guess through fitness, you want me to speak to people? Like it's funny because when I think about it, my first experience of having to speak in public was in high school. And I had a fight with my history teacher because he was putting me on the spot. And so my throat chakra was just not having any part of that. And that was a big trauma for me too, as well, that I had to deal with later. But I know that when I got into fitness, I originally got in through group fitness, and it took me 2 years to do my first class because I was so afraid to speak. So if anything, life is about experience. So you go through it, and finally everybody kept saying, come on, Sonia, you can do this, you can do it. And me now, I'm just like, I'll talk. I don't care if I sound good or not. I say what I have to say, and it's a whole other ballgame. But then that's part of growing and expanding. And it's not to say that my thyroid is perfectly fixed now, but it's totally in balance. When it goes out of balance, I know I'm out of balance, right?
That's the key, I think. And I think it's really interesting. And so to everyone in the Earbud Coven, if you could just take a minute and think about one of the things in your life that is difficult and hard and sticky and that you maybe don't want to unpack or is a hard thing to look at for you. If you can look at my life and Sonia's life and go, okay, maybe somewhere in there is your hidden superpower. Maybe somewhere in there is something can manifest for you that you wouldn't even think you could stand in before you dive into the healing.
Oh yeah. For sure. Crazy.
Wild. The world is wild.
But we came here at this time to have this experience, and and it's so great that you and I have reconnected, because I mean we follow each other on social media, and I really haven't seen you since the reboot, but I've seen your growth and development and where you've gone, right? Like that's huge. It's all about the journey.
Well, we did that class when we do it. I must have been like almost right before COVID, because it was shortly after that, like when the whole world shut down.
Yeah. Oh, right? Totally.
Yeah.
I think it was, because I was really ramping up there for a while with Chakradance, and then COVID hit, and then I was hooped because in Chakradance, everything's done in person. So
Yeah.
that kind of went by the wayside for me, right? So I kind of just, I honestly took Chakradance and put it off to the side and thought, I may not continue this because of the way the world went. And so I had to start thinking of alternatives of like, what can I do online where I can still work with people? But fortunately for us, Natalie kind of was right on top of it, our founder to Chakradance, and she created a 10-day e-course for us to do online. And now since then, we have a Chakradance to Heal Your Life program, which I'm launching in September. It's going to be all online in a group setting on Facebook, held on Facebook, but she's created more courses, and I'm currently in one right now. We're doing Sacred Alchemy, which is going to be online and in person. Oh, that is like, I'm on this week is Divine Masculine, and last week was Divine Feminine. And I'm telling you, oh my God, I cannot wait to birth this into the world. But first, I've got to birth the first training I did on this one for Chakradance, which is a 9-week one, which will be online. So thankfully, she kind of had the time to really, all of a sudden the downloads came in, and she just created this for us so that we could continue. And I was so grateful for her, because I mean, I've done a lot of work in the chakras and even in food and spirit, like working with food and the chakras. I really believe most of our disease is first set up in the chakra. That's where disease.
And you know, like my muggle job is healthcare.
Yeah.
And I can see it, right? Like I always have my shamanic glasses on, and I will see people and I'm like, okay, well, this is manifesting in your physical body, but you can see the root of it in the energetics. And it's interesting when I talk about my throat chakra and you were sharing about your thyroid, I'm one of the only people in my family who does not have thyroid issues. Like my family wound in my family of origin is not being able to speak up.
Yeah.
We don't speak about things openly. We speak very quietly sometimes, but we don't emotionally barf like I do everywhere. My mom systematically worked on teaching my brother and I to speak up and be more than, because for her, children were seen and never heard.
Yeah.
Right. And every one of her siblings, almost, I think out of the 7 of them, 8 of them, I think 5 have major thyroid issues, where they're on medications or they've had it zapped or whatever. Some are hyper, some are hypo, but it shows up in the whole family. And then my generation, we don't have the same issues because we've all been chain breaking
and that's the whole thing, right? We do, like we're here doing the work now for generations to come, right? So for our family, and like even for me, for all the energy work and all the trauma I've gone through my own self, but also watched in my family, which is really related to the women in my family.
Yes.
I know that my job here is to actually break this generational trauma, abuse. There's just so much in my family that's what I'm here to do. And even though nobody else maybe in my family understands what I'm doing, my daughter gets it because she's awake. She's totally like tuned in, and she's very, intuitive, probably a lot more intuitive than I am, like unbelievably. And so she knows that that's her work, but she's on her own path. So I have to let her like do that work herself. There's a lot of stuff that she's still got to go through because it was and it's no blame to a parent. So like, I got to say away, right?
No, it's not to blame. They did.
It isn't. We're not blaming family when we say that, because actually many of our strengths and much of our superpower comes from that past trauma, which will eventually be eliminated from the generations in your family as you do the healing work, but setting yourself up for the future generations. Like our job is to create a legacy, for our families that's going to be stronger, that's going to be actually of benefit to those on the planet that are going to carry on thousands of years ahead of us. Because you got to think back thousands of years. I mean, I don't know the history of all my thousands of years, but 100 years you can go back, right? And say, look at all the trauma they went through, like the stories your family has. Those are not to be, those are to be like held on to. It's like I always say, the Native Americans are very good at this.
Yes,
Native
they are.
Indians.
Yes.
They know They pass the stories down. And whether the story changes a bit or not, it's that person's experience at the time that took that story, lived that life, and now is passing it on to their grandchildren and great grandchildren. And that's really what we're here to do. We're here to fix ourselves, have an incredibly amazing life, and at the same time help set up the next generation, whether you have children or not, because we're all mothers. As females, we're all mothers. Doesn't matter we have physical children here or not. We have little other fur babies. We have other things that we do. And we even have men that we take care of, you know, like there's that, all that stuff that goes on, right?
Well, we have soul, we have, if I may, we have like this soul, we have soul families, right? They're not always our DNA families, but our friendship families. Like I know people who have chosen not to have children, and they are still very important parts of my children's life. Like I have even aunts who have never had children. They have informed the generations that follow their family. They were there to be examples of, you know what, you don't have to always do what society tells you to do. You can still be happy and have joy.
Oh my gosh, yes. Right?
Well, like people didn't think that in 1955 though. Like I'm talking about women like my grandmother's generation and before her. So we're talking like my dad was born in 45. Yeah. So for a woman in 1945 to say I'm going to have a job and not like we forget how far we've come. Like we seriously forget that it was 2 generations ago that a woman couldn't have a bank account without a man signing off on it in Canada. Exactly. Right? Like my grandma wore a dress to scrub the floor. Like it's so crazy. And I'm going to keep going a little bit because you've talked so much about family and not shaming them and the gifts of the hardship that they did. And I just want to speak to that. The idea of we get so much from our ancestors, so much resilience, so much strength. And then when we do the healing work, we take all those gifts and we get to shine them brighter because we remove the traumatic aspect and then you just have the gift. It's like you have the diamond without the mud on it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, once we're adults, it's up to us to have and create the life that we want, you know. We've had all our, you know, time with our family, our parents, and we've learned what they've learned, and we take what, you know, I always say to my kids now, I say, listen, hey, I was not a perfect mother. Neither was my mother. There's no blame here. I mean, if you want to blame me, that's okay. My kids don't, but you know what I mean? If you want to blame me, you can blame me because I can take that on, because I can take the burden of the family on. That's the other thing too. In your families, there's going to be somebody that takes that burden on, right? So I'm always okay with that. I'll take the burden. I'll carry the load. It's all good until you're ready to, you know, step it up. Right. So I think we all go through that though. I think we need to give our parents grace. I mean, my mother and my father are both, well, my biological father is still alive, but my mother and my dad that raised me are both gone. So, you know, lucky for me, they left at a very young age. Not lucky for me, they left at a young age, but I had the opportunity. They had a disease that allowed us to repair our relationship before they left. And so anything that was left unsaid or done, that was the beginning of me really waking back up into my spirituality. Because for a while, you know, you get into it and then you, especially when you're born that way, you get into it and then you go off path and then you come back on path. It was that experience with both of them that allowed me to get back on my path. So I'm grateful for that, right? Because that's me doing the work now for the next generation, whether they realize it or not. I'm doing the work. They might realize it later if they see this video of their grandma or great grandma or whatever. I can't even imagine. I'm a grandmother already. I could actually be a great grandmother in this lifetime. And then I would be the elder, right? I'm already the elder.
Isn't that beautiful? So like, let's talk about that. Like, do you step into that crone goddess energy?
Well, you know, it's so funny because, you know, life is about experience. And for me, like I have done a good job at knowing thyself, right? It's that saying of know thyself. And it doesn't matter how you do it. And I will say that to anybody out there, learn about yourself, because once you learn about yourself, you can then better navigate in the world around you, dealing with different types of people. For me, my, growing up was not necessarily easy, but the experiences I had, I would never take back. Who I've become from that is the wisdom and the knowledge. But then, like for me, I've always studied astrology. I'm not much into the tarot, but I like the cards, and I like numerology is my go-to. But my new one is the destiny cards, which is your face cards. My mother used to read like the regular deck of cards.
Yes, I used to work with a medium on the psychic line who did that. She read a deck of cards.
Yeah, my mother did that. And I heard all these stories about her and how psychic abilities she had, but she never read for us as our like her daughters.
I don't read for my daughter either. I don't.
And I don't even do that for my daughter either, because although I do direct her to learn about herself. So she knows, her astrology, her numerology. I do make sure she has her numerology so she can better guide her life. Because I believe when you have tools like that, you can better forecast what's coming for you, and you will know what season you're in, because we go through seasons. It's like spring, summer, winter, fall. We live seasons. We just do. We live cycles and seasons. It's just, right?
Oh, I know. I'm just sitting here like nodding away, like, yes, yes, yes. And it's true. Like there's the wheel of the year, which is like the seasons that are actually happening. And then we each have our own personal wheel, right?
Oh,
like
totally.
Sometimes I'm in a winter, like a personal winter during the summer that is happening in reality on Earth, right?
Exactly.
I'm kind of like navigating that. And it's interesting. Like spring's always my thing, right? Like I'm very fiery. I love your Scorpion energy. I'm a little Aries through and through, like sun and moon with a Virgo rising. So like I'm really passionate, but I really hate disorganization, which is a little war inside me. Because I don't know how to organize, because I'm an Aries. So what's interesting though is as I've gotten older, I've noticed that my personal wheel is bigger. Like I used to line up pretty well with a normal year, right? Like I would go into the cave during winter and I do my reflection. And I'm finding now, I don't know when it started, but I like spend like 2 earth seasons in one season. So I'm like in a spring for 6 months, and then I'm in a summer for about 6 months. And then I go, and it's getting longer and longer. I find that interesting. And I'm diving deeper into my onion layers when I'm in the cave.
Well, because you're in your 40s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense, right?
Right.
I went through all that too. I remember my 40s. There's a big transition in my 40s, right? I completely changed my whole life in a matter of like, no, I wouldn't say seconds. I think you just make a decision. I'm a firm believer. Once you make the decision, then it's just you do that, right? But I'm going to be, like I'm 58. So now I'm working into the, I say in the Scorpio sense, I'm the Phoenix rising now, because I've gone through all the other perils of the Scorpion. Not necessarily do I fall in all of them. I'm not like, how you have your astrological sign, but there's aspects that you may or may not have experienced. And, some I haven't experienced, but I definitely know for now that I'm in that Phoenix came out, and I have the wisdom and the knowledge that I'm gifting to the world now. That's my job, is just to gift what I know, what I've learned from my own experience, my own traumas, and know that, so show people that they can get through anything, because you can get through anything. I know what I've gotten through.
Yeah. You really can get through anything.
Oh, absolutely. We're totally capable.
One of the things I learned because I went through a little Phoenix fire. So one of the things I learned through that is it was interesting because it was the hardest thing I'd done, right? Like that transition that I went through 6 years ago, that was the hardest thing I've done. And also it wasn't the scariest thing because it wasn't the first time I'd been in crisis. Because I'm a person who moves through my lessons, because I've had a transformative life. I've been on the spiritual path for a long time, been healing for a long time. It's different, I feel, when you go into a dark night of the soul or a big growth year, when you know who you are. Like in my 20s, I battled lesser mountains, but I didn't know who I was. I was not grounded, and I didn't have faith in myself to endure, or my own resilience, or my own wisdom. And now when I face obstacles, it's a bigger obstacle, but it's not as scary.
Well, you have more tools now, right?
Oh, totally.
You know, that first dark night of the soul is always the one that you feel like you're going to die from.
Yeah.
Like you're literally begging for your life. And I know for me, my first major, like I've had lots of trials and tribulations over the years, but my first major dark night of the soul was begging for the pain to be removed from my body physically. And I mean, it was a tough one to get through. But now, I mean, I could get through anything. There isn't much. Although I should say that, okay, universe, before I say that. Careful what you say and speak. Your words are powerful. I can get through anything, but I've been through as much as I need to get through in this lifetime. I'm done with it.
In order to give your wisdom to others.
Exactly.
I will
share those stories. I will only share those stories for the benefit of those involved. That is it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You see how crazy it is? You got to be careful with your words.
Well, yeah, especially when you have two people who manifest sitting together talking about deep, beautiful things. Right?
Well, yeah, I you know, and that's the thing. I can manifest like that. I know I can. And so, yeah, I have to be really careful. I got to stay in the positive mindset. Not to say I don't have moments of darkness. We all do, or go to the dark side, because that's how we contrast anyways. So
I don't think I would have learned the things I really needed to learn. Like, and I can say that now. I don't think I would have learned the lessons I really needed to learn to get to this level of enjoyment of my life had I not gone through the letting goes and the releasing that I had to do. Because for me, one of the biggest lessons when I went through the Phoenix fires, I was like, I was okay with the idea of letting go of what didn't serve me and growing and grieving past selves. But there was a point where I had to let go of everything, even the stuff I liked.
Yeah.
And I had such attachment to that it was very, very, it was difficult, to say the least, but I couldn't imagine things coming that were better than what I was already holding. And the only way to teach me that was to force me to let it go.
Yeah. In order to let anything new in, you must let go of old.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same with the physical. You know, I say to people with the physical body, right? There's things you have to let go of if you're trying to manifest something into your life, because we can't take it all in. And, you know, our higher self is so grand and large. That's why we connect to our higher self, is because we can't take all those wonderful attributes that we have from so many lives we've lived into this one single body, because I think it would implode or explode or something.
It would do something, definitely.
Yeah. So there's times in your life when you're a certain way, or you have certain ways of being that you get you through life. But sometimes you have to let go of those certain parts in order to allow the next level to come in. And that's what I say to people. You got to let go of what isn't going to take you to the next level, because really here it's about progression.
Yeah.
So if I want to bring in something that's amazing in my higher self that I know that I want to inspire into the world, I have to let something go, because my physical being can't handle all of me. That's what I say. My physical being can't handle all of me. right?
That's such a beautiful way to put it, because a lot of us do that stuff where we get into that meditative state or we get in that reflective state and we're connecting, we're going up through the crown chakra, we're connecting to source, we're connecting to our highest self. And it is beautiful and amazing and big and so full of juicy, delicious energy that would not all fit in us.
No,
To bring something new into us from there, we do have to let go of something.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we are getting to our time. I want to respect your time.
Oh, yeah.
So
no problem.
Let's go over all your programs again. So Chakradance, which is beautiful and amazing. And I guess what people don't realize, one of the reasons you couldn't just move it online is you encourage people to really embody emotionally what they're feeling and that energy. And we dance in your space with blindfolds on. Like, we don't see each other. That whole thing is removed, and it is such a freeing experience.
Oh, it is. And you know what? That's the part I love the most, is the in-person and holding space for people, because I'm not blindfolded, just so you guys know. You're not running into each other because I'm there, but I'm not blindfolded, but I get to experience and watch the beauty unfold, and I can see the energy. Just that part I just love. That's the in-person experience I love. And plus, you really have to have the music resonating, because all the music's created for each of the chakras. So you want to really feel it vibrating through your body. And but the online stuff is a little different. Like with our online, you get to embody that music yourself as well. So really, I'm holding space in a group setting. We're holding space for each other while we go through the experience. And on a weekly basis, you would run all the programs. The music is already downloaded. You can download the music to your device or put headphones on, however you want to do it. But mainly, yeah, I prefer to work in person, but I am offering online because I know there are people that want to work with me that are around the world. They're not just right here, right? Plus, I do run retreats, but also I also do fitness on like personal training, and we do partner training, group training. I run online programs for that as well. So it's not probably best to just go to my website, which eventually is going to be changing very soon. But for now, it's at bodycircuitforher.ca. They can just go there and they'll see all my offerings, because I do energy healing. I do all that kind of stuff. So.
And the new program you're going to be offering, the one that you're going through now, which is so cool, be that you're going through the experience in order to then teach the experience. Beautiful model.
That's the only, because you know what? It's so funny, because you can only take people where you've been before. So I also have to do my own work. I peel my own onion. And through that process, then my experience, I'm able to share with others, right? So the Chakradance to Heal Your Life is coming September 5th. Just know that's the start date for the online one, because I've already been through that one, and that one's already set up and ready to go. We're going to probably launch in about 2 weeks. So we're going to do a 6-week launch. Give people
this
time.
Is coming out, is probably going to go live right around that time. So that's so divinely perfect. Yay.
Yes, right. Get the kids back to school and get taken care of ourselves. And it'll take us right into the fall season, you know. And then the alchemy one won't be until January. That will be, I really sat with that for a bit, because I'm going through it now. So I'll have lots of time to go through that experience. I'm not finished yet. I'll be finished in August. So I'm going to set that one to go in January. So it'll probably
give yourself time to integrate all of that, reflect
all of it, and then go back into life. Like the whole idea with Chakradance is you're doing the work, but then you're integrating in life, and you're going out into the world to see how that it's affecting you, right? Right? Because it's like I always say to people, when we're doing a 9-week, please don't make any major life decisions when you're doing this kind of work, because let me tell you, I had that experience. My mentor told me, don't make life decisions. What did I do? I did make a life decision. And not to say you can't recover from mistake. You can, because I really believe that. And I'm proof of that. We can share that story another time. That would be a fun one to do. Because people would be like, you what? You manifested a house? Yes.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what I think of stuff like that as a way to kind of conceptualize it for people. It's like deciding you need bangs after a breakup. It's a bad decision. Don't do it. Buy the ice cream, get a couple new movies, after breaking up with someone or breaking up with a job or anything like that. Just
yeah. Yeah, let the energy settle and just kind of let it get into your body and feel it and take the time and give yourself some time for clearing. But yeah. It was so great to do this with you.
Oh, I'm so happy you came on. This is so good. It's my favorite. I love this project. I absolutely love it because when I was starting to conceptualize the podcast, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? You know, I'm like, I know so many powerhouse people, mostly powerhouse women, which I want to lift up because I think it's really that time of the matriarch rising. Totally like
Divine feminine time.
It is.